The blackboard. The first contact I had with literacy was when I was 3 years old. My older sister gave me a colorful box filled with crayons. They were like candies for my fingers and also for my mouth. I remember writing notes on my older siblings, on their notebooks, and on the walls. Not wonder why my mom and siblings got mad at me all the time on that time. The best teacher. I was 4 years when my older sister was in 6th grade. She loved reading storybooks, magazines, and the newspaper. She also liked playing to be my teacher. She had me do a lot of writing drills of circles, sticks, and as I advanced, vowels, consonants, and finally words. I enjoyed doing those drills. Then she started teaching me how to read, the vowels, the syllables, and complete words. When I could sound syllables, she gave me sentences from her assignments to read, until one day she had me read an advertisement on the newspaper. It took me a long time reading it, but she was so happy that I finally learned how to read. By the time I started school at 5, I already knew how to read and write, which gave me an advantage over the other students, and my teacher always asked me to help others. My first book. When in 3rd grade, 2 of my brothers were getting ready for the first communion. For that, they had to read some stories from a book called My Book of Bible Stories. I was always curious for what my older siblings were doing, and I always wanted to try those things. Also, this book was so appealing as it was yellow with red font. The most that I liked about that book were the pictures. I asked my brothers to read the stories to me and to explain them with more detail. This was the first book I felt to read completely, and I did it. I still remember those stories, and the picture that I remember the most is the one in which Jonas is falling in the ocean and a whale was about to eat him. The radio station. On the year 1992, there was a drought in Colombia that generated an energy crisis. The government of that time took the decision to have partial blackouts beginning in the afternoon. This avoided consuming too much water as the reserves were reducing. The clocks countrywide were set 1 hour ahead to take advantage of the daylight. As there was no TV, no light at nights, I remember all the family gathering in the dining room for dinner. One night, my older brother started imitating the people from the local radio station.
Ondas del Porvenir.
And made all the family members participate in his radio show by sharing stories, giving tips to help with homeworks, reading the mail, singing and answering to spontaneous questions on specific topics. And as it was for almost 6 months, by the time the blackouts finished, he suggested my sister and me to write the stories we were going to tell or to read at night under the candle lights. This was one of the best memories I have from my childhood. The story. When I was in 5th grade and after the drought, there was an environmental campaign in my state, Boyacá. The governor created a story contest related on the environment. My teacher encouraged us to write stories to participate on that contest. I wrote a story about a place in which it hadn't rained for a long time. One day, a desperate farmer found the last water drop on a small leaf. As she saw the farmer crying for thirst and desperation, claiming her to bring more raindrops to water the earth, the raindrop went to heaven and talked to God so that he sent more raindrops to water that place. The farmer was so thankful, and the little raindrop told him that all the community had to plant a tree to show his thankfulness with God. My first job. During my elementary years, my dad always asked my sister and me to read his correspondence in a loud voice to him. He used to tell us we were in charge of letting him know the important information about bills, work letters, school letters, news, and others. He said we were hired as his secretaries, so we took turns to read and sometimes to write back if it was the case. If we did our jobs good, he paid us with nusitas, black and white chocolate candies. El chismógrafo. When I was in 7th grade, there was a new writing tendency among students in my country. It was called El Chismógrafo, or the Gossiping Book. It was a notebook that contained many personal questions, one on each page. It was passed along, and every person was assigned a number as the answers were given in a list format. The first question was the name of the person. The idea with this notebook was to get to know each other better. The questions depended on the creator. Most of the questions were about likes, hobbies, future plans, life motivation, career, and love, boyfriends, and girlfriends. I think El Chismógrafo was the Facebook without faces of that time. The first Mac computer. While in high school, I had a class called typing class. It was a heavy and sometimes painful class. I said heavy because I did not have a school bus, but instead I had to walk to school for about 20 minutes carrying the typewriter. And painful because when typing, as the keys were hard to press, fingers fell in between the keys and that hurted. Anyways, we had to do typing drills. At the beginning, only letters to memorize the right and left hand keys. Then single word lists. Then sentences. And when we were familiarized with the keys, we started writing different types of letters, essays, stories, and projects. If the typing teacher found one letter incorrect, we had to retype the whole page, so we had to be really careful on typing correct. New words. University was a whole new thing. I started learning 2 new languages, English and French. And just as I was once taught by my sister, now it was my time to teach someone. During my first 2 semesters, I had to teach 2 children, one in English and the other one in French. This was a really interesting experience as I was also developing the language in the same time with my students. They were amazing and learned a lot, although I just taught them for 4 hours a week. I could have short conversations in the topics I taught them. They had an oral presentation at my university, and it counted as one of the grades for my semester. The women that ran with wolves. At a job I had 6 years ago, I met 4 amazing girlfriends. We used to get together for dinner and dancing. In one of our meetings, one of my friends brought us a book from Clarissa Pinkola named The Women Who Run with Wolves. This book is a description of the female psyche viewed through myths, fairy tales, and stories in order to help women reconnect with their wild nature. We all started reading the book and commented it in our meetings. One of the stories I liked the most about this book was The Skeleton Woman. It is a love story that shows the stages of love in different situations, not only with couples.